Welcome back, episode 199, Life and Stride podcast. One away from 200. I can't believe it. We're almost at 2 years of the podcast, too, which is truly crazy. Do not go listen to the first few episodes. The audio quality is terrible, but we have come a long way. So, anyway, New York City recap. I was so stoked for this one. And I was like, you know who would really enjoy doing this with me, I think, is Ben Felton. So I hit up Ben on WhatsApp and he graciously agreed to come on and help me recap this for an hour. We had an awesome conversation. Ben is a big fan of pro running as well. So this was a really fun conversation. The women's race was electric the last couple kilometers through Central Park. And then the men's race, the last 100 meters, my goodness, really fun race. So this was a ton of fun to break down. We talked about the Americans in depth. And also Ben was on. So we talked about some UK athletes that did really well as well. And yeah, just great conversation. So if you enjoy it, please leave a review, drop a comment, share with a friend. And if you're going to be at the Indianapolis Monumental Marathon this Saturday, keep in mind we're doing a shakeout on Friday. Check out our Instagram page to learn more about the shakeout run. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you on 200. When we're running through Norton Commons or the Pewee Valley area in Louisville, Kentucky, it's pretty easy to spot Mason Construction Home. The attention to detail, the quality, the stunning design, you can't miss it. It stands out. We aren't just saying that either. Our own co-host Scotty trusted Mason Construction to build his forever home, and he and his family couldn't be happier. Don't tell Scotty this, but we're at his house a lot because we love the home. He's all right too, though. If you live in the Louisville or Southern Indiana area and are thinking about building your forever home or doing a remodel, there is nobody else to trust with this project than Mason Construction. The link to their website is in our show notes. Click on the request information option and start the conversation about what your forever home could look like.
Of course.
All right, welcome back. Episode 199, Life and Stride podcast. We got a special host, a guest host today, Ben Felton, back on the pod. Ben,
Hey,
what's
couldn't
up?
get
So,
enough.
yeah, couldn't get enough. Ben, I hope we can do this at least once a month, get you on, because I do these episodes solo usually where I just talk pro running or whatever's going on in the running world once. Well, I try to do it every week. So yeah, you're always welcome to hop on these. I always like doing them with someone else. So yeah, thanks for coming
Yeah,
on, man.
definitely. Yeah, I think me and Chris were saying before we started recording that I used to have sort of my own Run It Three Ways podcast, and that kind of fell away from the routine. But I've kind of been missing that podcast format, so it's nice to be able to scratch that itch, if you like, and jump on here, have less pressure of the preparation, and just chat running for 45 minutes to an hour. So yeah, looking forward
Yeah,
to chatting all things New York. I watched the race this weekend, and it definitely was probably one of the best marathon races I've ever watched. So in terms of talking about it on a podcast, I think the athletes have really treated us this weekend with some crazy performances.
yeah. It was the good thing about New York is there's no pacers and it's a hilly course, so we have a very dynamic race where like big moves are made. The men's race always goes out slow most years. The women's race was course record, so kind of two different races. Very fun race to watch. But before we dive in, I want to know how's your training going, and are you racing another marathon in 2025?
Yeah, so the week just gone was kind of my first week building back after Chicago. So the I took a week off, and then I had a week of easy running, and then last week was kind of like 2 to 3 weeks out since the race. So I had a couple of sessions, and finished the weekend with a long run, which went well. But to be honest with you, at the start of the week, I was completely wrecked still. Like, I took a
Really?
week off running, which I'm not convinced was actually like the best decision. Usually I do a couple of like easy jogs in the week after a race, and I think it helps with like just keeping things ticking over. Yes, you're going to be sore, but I found that when I got back into running, like especially this week, my tendons have just felt like they shrunk almost, especially in like my quads. My IT band have just been like quite sore, and heart rate has been really elevated. So um, the first half of the week, I was like, oh god, I'm I'm a long way off being able to get back into regular training. But then as the days have ticked past, I managed to legs have come around, and I think on Friday I had a good little threshold session, and then yesterday Sunday I had a nice long run with a 5K at marathon pace, and it was the first run since Chicago, which would have been 3 weeks to the day, where I actually felt like I had some life back in the body. So
Nice.
I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to be racing in Valencia. Is the next race I have sort of signed up. I'm kind of thinking at the moment it might be a little bit soon, so I'm looking into maybe another option of Seville or even Tokyo. So I've sent some emails out, let's just say, and I'm going to see how the next few weeks of training go in terms of if I race another marathon this side of the Christmas period.
Well, Ben, I'm running Houston Marathon and I'm shooting for 320Ks. So, yeah, if you want to join me in Houston in January, I'm sure they'd have a spot for you. So, put that one on your thoughts as well.
Definitely, yeah, that would be a good timing for me as well, because I feel like if I do Valencia, it's going to be a bit of a rushed block again, and the reality of marathon training is you do need those sort of at least 6 weeks of consistency to get back
Yes.
into a good rhythm. So yeah, I'll see how it develops over the next few weeks, as to whether I do Valencia or maybe look for another one.
Yeah, well, you've been a busy guy outside of running too. I saw your merch dropped, and you've been looks like it's been really successful. So that's I'm sure been fun and very busy because I'm sure you're packing and shipping all those yourself, right?
Yeah, so we decided to do it all ourselves. So yesterday we were at my girlfriend Meg's parents' house, and we had like a team of 4 or 5 of us just packaging up the first like orders. And I dropped them off at the post office this morning, which is pretty rewarding.
Yeah.
Meg's still doing some work on the orders downstairs as we record this podcast actually. So yeah, it's been really well received, and it's fun to do something that feels almost like a proper job, if you know what I mean. Like I've been doing social
Sure.
media now for 2 or 3 years, and never had any merchandise or never like sold a product or anything like that. Never done training plans or coaching. It's all my revenue has been through YouTube and sort of brand deals and stuff. So it's nice to almost take the next step of making it a bit more of a business and more sustainable. We're going into the future. So yeah, hopefully just the start of something pretty cool.
Yeah, merch is a big step for sure. It's one of those things you have to make an upfront investment and then hope that people buy it so you don't,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
go under on the merch. But yeah, we've dropped hats and hoodies before and luckily came out on the positive end of those. But yeah, it's a scary investment. You got to drop some money to make some money in that situation. So, well, good for
Yeah.
you, man. The merch looks awesome. So I'm glad it's going well.
How about you then? How's your training been this week? You said you're in the 200 kilometers, which is
Yeah, so
crazy.
yeah, I did 125 miles last week. I did a 23-mile long run, so I guess was that 38K, maybe 39K, something like that, and with about 14 miles at a like steady effort, so like 610 miles, so nothing crazy. But yeah, I'm pacing a couple friends to run sub 240 in Indianapolis this weekend. It's a flat, fast course. It's going to be great weather, so yeah, training's going along well. I'm about 9 weeks removed from a sacral stress fracture, so ramping it up pretty aggressively every week. But I was telling you before, like I'm doing this full time. I have more time to rest, sleep. I'm lifting 3 times a week. I've never done that before, so uh, yeah, I think I'm really just gonna get up to the volume that is riding the line of I can do this without sacrificing the level of my workouts. So, if my
Yeah.
workouts start going poorly because I'm running too high volume on my easy days, then that's going to be my line of, okay, this is too much. So last week, 200K felt good. Going to push it up maybe a tad higher this week, go for, 140 miles or so, see what happens, 135. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just like, I'm all in right now. I want to make the trials and I want to take a real stab at it in a couple races in 2026. So, gotta I think it's one of those situations where you have to do some risk reward, where you
Yeah.
take
Yeah.
some risks to get that big reward. So yeah, it's going
Is
great.
is it 218 the standard in
It's
America
two
for the trials?
it's 216 now. They just dropped to 2 minutes for
216.
2028. So that's why I'm
What?
running as much as I am because I am not a runner that is like extremely naturally talented on like the speed side of things. So I think and this is very similar to Jake Bearclaw into Japan, is he's kind of in that same area, but he got up to, those really high volume weeks. He ran 2:14 in Tokyo, so I'm kind of on that same project, I guess, to try and do something like that. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, exciting stuff. It'll be cool to follow along. Hopefully you can stay
Yeah,
in one piece.
yeah. I
That's
mean,
going to
I've
be the
already,
hardest challenge for you, I guess. As soon as you ramp mileage up, you just got to, yeah, be careful and see how things feel.
yep, I already had the sacral stress fracture, so that's one injury down. So hopefully that's the last. But yeah, we'll see. Um,
Awesome.
I wanted to make a quick shout out too before we dove into the race. Hugo Fry won the BPN 50 miler. We had him on a
Yeah.
couple days before the race. Shout out to Hugo. Well deserved victory. Loved seeing him win. Did you see any of that content, Ernest?
Yeah. I spoke to him on Instagram just after he'd finished, and he said it was absolutely brutal. Like he's never had a race where his body is basically shut down on him. Like I think he said after like 28 kilometers or 26 kilometers, he just couldn't take on any more fuel because it was coming out of both ends. So sounds like he had a real tough one in terms of fueling, and I reckon because he wasn't able to like eat and fuel it as much as he would have liked, he's probably going to be pretty banged up. But I mean, he got the win, so hopefully that brings some good exposure, and
Yeah,
yeah, it'll be
I think
worth it.
I think fortunately the guy that got second was like a 250 marathoner, so I think Hugo had a pretty big like he was like the favorite by far in the race, so he had some
Yeah.
room for things to go wrong and still win the race. So, um, and there's no doubt that was a huge marketing tool for Precision Fuel because that was a BPN race, and
Yeah,
Hugo was decked out in precision stuff, so that was good marketing for Precision right there. They got their money's worth for sure.
definitely. Yeah, he
But
said he's been really enjoying working with those guys as well. So they seem to align quite well on their like just the way they work and how they want to just have a bit more fun in the space rather than being like completely dialed in and serious. So yeah, I think it's a good match.
yeah, that's right up his alley. He's right in that niche of like very funny content, but also like very serious runner. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's a good match
good
for
balance.
sure. Are you a runner? Do you need running shoes, gear, apparel, more? If so, I got the scoop for you. Kencom's Running Store is the best place to buy any running supplies you need. Located in the St. Matthews area of Louisville, Kentucky, the friendly staff will take excellent care of you. If you are a newer runner and need help finding the right shoes, or you're looking to get plugged into the Louisville running community, this is where you need to start. If you don't live in Louisville, check out werunlou.com. We have a discount code and the link to the website in the show notes, and the shipping is free for purchases over $100. I promise you, Matt and team are the friendliest people you can meet. Don't hesitate. Get your running supplies at Kencom's Running Store and support an amazing local business. All right, let's dive in. We'll start with the women's race. The women's race finishes first in New York. They start them a bit before the men. So we'll start with that one. So the women's course record had been around since 2020, or excuse me, 2003 or 2002, I think, for like 20 plus years. It was 222.
Crazy. Pre super
Yeah.
shoes, way before super shoes.
Yeah. And and the nature of New York is there's no pacers, right? So a lot of the time, people don't want to take the lead early on, take the wind. And this women's race, like, obviously had the field to do that. They had Sharon Lokedi, Hellen Obiri, the woman that won last year, Chep Karui, tough name to pronounce. And then obviously Safan Hassan was a late addition to the field. So
Yeah.
obviously we had like the talent there to probably several women that could have run under 217 on a fast course. And they went out in 111 through half. So it was on at that point because usually they negative split in this race with that fast, back half when they start really racing. So I
Yeah.
thought through halfway, the record was probably going to go down. And there was still a decent pack, about 10 women with the lead group um, through halfway. Did you have anyone kind of in your head that you thought would win this race before it started? I picked Safan Hassan, but apparently she
Yeah.
wasn't in great shape.
Yeah, to be honest, I thought it was either going to be Sifan or Sharon that would end up winning it. But I think because Sifan Hassan was in the race, it kind of like she was a big figure in the way it panned out because I feel like both Sharon and Hellen Obiri didn't want the pace to be slow because they knew if they kept if Sifana San was still there with like 5K to go, then she's going to be a hard person to shake off based off her previous marathons. So I think they were both probably had a word with each other. I know they're really fierce rivals, but they probably were like let's keep this honest, because we can come away with first and second here if we can get rid of Sifana San. And I think that's probably how it panned out in the race.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Safan, like they said on the broadcast, on the US broadcast, that after Sydney, she like had a really hard time recovering because of the hills. And they said like on some longer runs, she was like in pain a lot, like just sore, heavy legs, soreness. So it didn't sound like she had a great build. I'm assuming this was her third marathon of the year. I was surprised she even ran it. But my guess is that why she was a late addition to the field was that they probably threw her a pretty large sum of money that was hard to resist.
Yeah,
And then
definitely.
she just jumped in like, I'm not in the best shape. We'll see what happens. But I mean, she did her thing. She animated the race. She was with the lead pack for a while.
She did the
But
classic Sifan thing, didn't she? Where she drops off and you're like, oh, she's
yeah,
done. And then like 10K later, she would catch back up again. And you're like, okay, she's still in it. But then they did, I think, with like at like 30K point, they finally dropped her and she was long gone at that point. How did she finish in the end? I didn't see the
so she
results.
got sixth place, 2:24:43. So she lost a couple spots
Yeah,
later on. I mean, that's almost 5 minutes behind Obiri. So yeah, she really fell
yeah,
off. But I mean, having her name in the race, like that made it more interesting for me to watch for sure, just seeing her in the lead group around, that 30K
yeah,
point still. But yeah, seeing her yo-yo back and forth, like it was pretty clear, like maybe she wasn't having her best day. There was one person I was really surprised to see in the late stages of the race. That was Fiona O'Keeffe, the American.
yeah.
Um,
Real gutsy
I,
run from her. She just stuck with him for as long as she could.
yeah, I love that strategy. Like sometimes it doesn't always pay off and you end up blowing up the back half, but she held on for fourth place, ran 2:22:49. So I mean, that was
Pretty much
her
equaled
second.
her PB,
Yeah.
right? I think she was she'd run 222 before. So to run 222 again in New York is like, yeah, that's like a level up. I know it doesn't look like it on paper, but based off the two courses that she would have ran those times, then yeah, that New York performance is a big step for her.
Yeah, yeah. So her first race, her first marathon, her debut, and I wanted to mention this too. So I did a preview for this race, and I kept saying, apparently, when someone's debuting for a race, they're a debutante is the correct term, and I kept saying
Right.
debut. I kept saying debutant. So that I don't know where I was getting that, and someone corrected me in the comments. So,
Fair enough.
debutante was the correct phrasing there. um, but so she debuted at the trials in 20 for the Paris Games, won that race,
Yeah.
won, and then went to Paris and DNF'd at like 3 or 4K, I think, because she had a stress fracture. So this was like her, like I guess technically third start, but her second finished marathon. So pretty impressive to see her, towards the front in the late stages of the race. I think like she's probably in the conversation for the best American female right now, which is cool. So
Yeah. Yeah. There's that Puma team, Puma Elite. They're doing a pretty good job because they've got some real talented. I'm sure when we go into the men's race,
yeah,
we'll talk about another few of the
yeah,
same team, but they seem to be approaching a level where they can be competitive on these global stages, which is pretty cool to see now.
yeah, yeah. And I wanted to ask, do you know much about Jessica Warner Judd? I believe she was making her debut. The
Yeah.
British woman, she got seventh place. Do you know much about her?
I know that last year she really struggled. She got diagnosed with epilepsy.
Yeah,
So she's had some real like hard times of late in terms of her running career where she's been in races and yeah had to drop out because of her condition. So to be honest, when I saw that she'd run 224 and came seventh, I was a bit shocked. I wasn't necessarily expecting such a great run from her, like especially on her first in her debut marathon. Um, I think yeah, she's shown that she's clearly talented for the longer stuff. I mean, if you look at all of her racing that she's done in her career already, like she's a world class athlete, no doubt about it. But to
but
then come back from all of the trouble she had to then come seventh in a race like New York, and 2:24 as well. Like even on a flat course for a debut, that would have been an impressive time. So I'm sure there's a lot of elite British women looking at that time, being like, okay, like Jess Warner-Judd is now in the picture of top contenders in the UK scene. So yeah, great to see from a British perspective.
Yeah, I think she was that's probably a top 2 or 3 UK time for this year, and yeah, it's on New
Yeah,
York, which is really impressive. So, yeah, I
yeah,
think
not bad debut.
she's got a really promising future. I would imagine see her on world and Olympic teams for Team GB in the future for sure.
Definitely.
And who's the I'm blanking on her name, the female that you and Nick Bester raced against in that 10K before Chicago.
Oh,
Uh,
Eilish McColgan.
yeah, she's running marathon now, right?
She has she done her first? I think she's done London. Yeah, she did London this year. I'm pretty sure.
I
Uh,
think that was her debut, maybe.
yeah, she's basically been on the start. She's meant to have been on the start line of quite a few marathons in the last sort of 5 year period, I think. But unfortunately, through injuries and like the way her racing schedule has panned out, she hadn't made the jump up to the marathon. But yeah, she's definitely going to, if she gets like everything right, she'll be by far the most talented British marathon runner we have. And based on
Yeah.
what she can do over like the 10K and the half, obviously it doesn't always translate, but yeah, there's definitely some room for some good times on from Eilish as well.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right that it doesn't always translate. I always use the example of I don't know if you've watched that first National Geographic documentary where they tried to break two for the first time with Kipchoge and the Ethiopian guy, and then there was the at the time there was the half marathon world record holders. There's Zenit Tedesse, he was from Eritrea, and he was like I think at the time it was like 57 or 58 minutes, and they thought surely he would have a chance at sub two because he's the best half marathoner in the world, and he ran like 2:08, blew up. So
Yeah, yeah.
it
Even
never,
like with
yeah,
like Joshua Cheptegei and Kip Limo,
yeah,
the two Ugandans, you'd think based off their half marathon abilities and 10K abilities, like they'd be easily the next athletes to break the 2 hour mark. I mean, they still may be, but um, we've seen from their debut marathons, especially Joshua Cheptegei. I think I can't remember what he ran on his first, but it was nowhere near what people would have expected based on his
yeah,
previous performances. So yeah, it doesn't always
yeah.
translate.
Yeah, I mean, it was like 2:08 or 2:09. He's getting better every one, but he hasn't won a race yet or
Yeah,
anything. So,
yeah,
um, yeah, we'll see. But so to finish out the women's race, so I love this race because usually the winner is decided in Central Park with the rolling hills, and
yeah,
that's like really fun. That's just really fun to watch, like them go into the park together. So yeah, at that point, 35K, it's down to the three Kenyan women: Obiri, Lokedi, Chepkurui. So Chepkurui won last year, and then obviously Hellen and Sharon Lokedi have a pretty heated rivalry. So one thing that was interesting the uh, on the live stream was the announcer said so. Helen and Sharon were kind of talking to each other with a few Ks to go, and it looked like Sharon was a little frustrated. So the person
yeah,
on
yeah,
the moto next to them said, or they got her on the live stream, and they're like, "What were they saying?" And she said that Sharon had told Helen to pick a side. She didn't like how she was kind of, I don't know if she was
yeah. She
clipping
was
her
like
heels or
treading on her
something.
clipping her heels. Yeah, I'm not sure if
Yeah,
that's intentional or yeah, I don't know. But it at points in that last 5-10K, you were like, she's way too close to her, and yeah, obviously she could have just ran next to her. But I mean, from a psychological warfare point of view, she was in exactly the right place to then go and win that race. So
yeah,
yeah, obviously you don't want dirty tactics to play into things, especially if she was intentionally clipping at her heels. But
yeah,
yeah, it was interesting to see that develop. I remember seeing on the live stream like Sharon Lokedi was like, "What are you doing? Stop standing on my heels! Like, come alongside me, or yeah, pick a side." So you can understand the
yeah.
frustration.
It's interesting. Both of them train in the U.S. too. So Sharon trains in Flagstaff, and then with the Under Armour team, and then Helen is in Boulder with On, and she's coached by American coach Dathan Ritzenhein. So it seems
Yeah,
like both their setups are pretty good. It's interesting to see obviously Kenya has an amazing training setup, but so it's interesting to see these two women choosing to train in the U.S. Clearly, it's working well for them. So
Yeah,
very cool.
and it's a reverse in what we saw in Boston Marathon, where Sharon came out on top, beating Hellen, but Hellen this time managed to hold on to her final gear. Like we always knew, coming down to like a all-out speed sprint finish, that Hellen Obiri has the top end speed, because purely their running styles are so different. Sharon's more of like a really efficient like shuffler, whereas Hellen Obiri is like a proper. She could probably still compete in a 1500 sort of 3K setting, whereas I feel like Sharon would be spat out of the back quite quickly. So yeah, came down to, I think Hellen waited literally to like a kilometer to go to then unleash her fifth gear and just pull away. So she made it look quite effortless, to be honest, at the end, to put in the gap and then maintain it for the last 800.
Yeah, she really goes to the arms too. You can tell when she's like making that last push. But yeah, she looks smooth the whole way. I mean, and she negative split the race. I think it was 111, and then so she ran 219. So it had to be like 108 high, 108 mid, something like that. 219.51 final time. So I mean, like I said, course record before was 222. She beat it by like 2.5, 3 minutes. So pretty cool to see. It was the right field for that to happen. And I think you're right. Like Sifan Hassan being in the race kind of motivated them to move fast earlier than they normally do. So this was an awesome race. I was really stoked watching it.
Yeah, I think looking at it as well, like what was the lady who came third? Kipruto.
Yeah, Kipruto. She won last year. Yeah.
Yeah, she was like pushing the pace for the majority of the race, and Sharon and Hellen were kind of just letting her do her thing. So I feel like she was the one who made it a 219 race, but unfortunately didn't get the benefit of coming away with a win again. But yeah, it was such a good race to watch.
Yeah, unfortunately, oftentimes like the person that makes the race doesn't always win the race, and that's just how it is. If you take the lead, if you take the lead, like that's why cyclists like to draft behind people, like just that little bit of less energy spent in the marathon really pays off later in the race. So, but yeah, so Fiona O'Keeffe, amazing race, top American, and then we had 4 Americans in the top 10. So that was really great day. A lot of people like mentioning that stat. It always depends like on how impressive it is with like how deep the international field is, but the American woman ran pretty well. So I think that was a great result overall for the Americans.
Yeah, really good.
But all right, anything else on the women's race before we dive into this men's race?
I think that pretty much covers it. Yeah. Other than it was probably one of the best finishes to a marathon I've seen in a little while, and it always seems to be between Sharon and Hellen. Like that rivalry they have is just so entertaining to watch, because I'm not sure what the score is, but it would be like a 2-2 matching going into extra time type finish. So yeah, it's always exciting to see them duke it out.
I think Hellen is up 5-2 now, is my understanding. I think she was 4-2 before this race. Now she's up 5-2, but they're always like really close to each other. Like that's the thing. It's always like them two duking it out at the end. So in training, like they're both thinking about each other,
Yeah.
Like when they're on those long runs, it's like, what's she doing? So, but
Hellen, how they always seem to be in the same place as well. They always pick the same like challenging races to do. Neither of them have ever done like a Valencia or a Berlin. They always seem to do like a Boston or a New York style course, because I guess it's their strengths of being able to get across the terrain like that.
Yeah, grind on the hills. Yeah, I mean those kind of races are like really fun ones, obviously. But I mean, I like stepping out knowing that I have a chance at a PB when I race. So I don't. I mean, I'll do Boston still, of course, but yeah, I always prefer like kind of a flatter course to see what kind of time I can get down to. So, but all right, let's dive into this men's race. So you just had an amazing training block, and you're walking to the start line of your PR attempt race. What are the key items you need to have on you for race day? For me, I cannot start a race without my white mid-crew Swiftwick socks, and I'm going to give you 2 reasons why. Number 1, my race day fit is not complete without them. I love the look of these socks, and I think if you look good, you feel good, and you race good. Number 2, I trust the performance of these socks. They have compression technology that is going to guarantee my feet are feeling good in my super shoes, and they are also made of moisture-wicking fibers that are going to prevent blisters from happening, especially when I'm going the marathon distance. The last thing that you want to be worrying about on race day is a bad blister developing and ruining your race. If you're constantly having race day issues with this, it's not the shoes, it's your socks. Try Swiftwick socks today. The link to their website and our discount code is in the show notes. Men's race was a little different. They went out. There's 22 of them still at halfway. This was like
Crazy.
classic. Yeah. This is classic New York City Marathon. The men going through halfway in 105. I think like that's just. It seems like almost every year that's what happens. It's just like no one wants to take the lead. They go out slow, and that results in fun racing the back half because we have a ton of people that feel like they can win the race still at halfway. You know.
Yeah, I feel like the pack of 22 just like all of a sudden broke up. It was like there was 22 of them and they all looked chill, and then suddenly like 10 of them had dropped off and there was only 10 left. I didn't really see the point on the live stream when that like gap happened, because I think maybe the camera was focused more on the women's race at the time, but it seemed like somebody put in an injection of pace to rip it open at like between the 20 and 25k point.
Yeah, so Hillary Bohr, the American, Kenyan turned American, this was actually his debut. He raced pretty aggressively, so he started pushing the pace around 25k. There was 20 guys left. Between 25k and 30k, it went from 20 guys to 8 guys, kind of in that lead group. So that was when like the break happened, and I think you're right. Like at that point of the broadcast, the women were like in the peak part of their race, so it wasn't showing much of this like split happening. But I mean, in that split, we lost like Eliud Kipchoge, and then Kenenisa Bekele dropped out. Most of the top Americans had dropped back at that point, so pretty significant part of the race. But yeah, I mean, there was a few names I was kind of surprised to see. I don't know if you know much about this guy, but Patrick Dever from, I don't know if that's how his name's pronounced, from the UK. I was extremely impressed by how he raced. Were you expecting anything like that from him?
To be honest, I was definitely surprised at how competitive he was in terms of his overall position and the way he was able to keep up with the top guys in that race. I would have said going into that he would have been more of a, the way the pack split. I would have put him in that second pack, like competing for the same sort of times as maybe like Joe Klecker or that level of athlete. But obviously it was his debut, so you never really know. And he'd done like 2 half marathons in the build up, one of which was the New York City half where he came like 7th, which was a really good run from him. Then he did Copenhagen, and he came 7th there. I can't remember where he came in New York actually. And that was like a really rainy day, and he ran 60 minutes and like 17 seconds. So that was a crazy performance on a day where the conditions were pretty rough. So I knew based off the half marathon results he'd had, he was going to be good at the marathon, but I don't think anyone would have said he was going to be a 208 guy on the streets of New York. So it's a very impressive run.
I think one interesting tidbit about him, I believe he was one of the pacers in the top group in Chicago. So he took them out in around like 1 hour 30, something like that. So like
that must have given him a lot of confidence.
Yeah, I mean, and like that's awesome. Yeah, super confident, and then also just like great experience at a world major, like all the logistics, riding the bus, doing the food before the race, all like just a lot of learning experience there. So I think that had to be super beneficial for him. But yeah, I mean, he's got to be one of the top UK guys now with Emil Karis. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, but yeah, I mean, he's got to be in the conversation. I think he's probably at the top of the food chain right now, right? Is anyone running as fast as him?
Yeah. I feel like that performance puts Patrick up there as well. Like Emil Kares is definitely has been in the last few years like a step above some of the other talent. Like we have Phil Sessman, Mohammed. So there is some really fast marathon runners up and coming in the UK, but Emil seems to be the guy who's had that sort of, everyone's been talking about Mo Farah's British record of like 205, that Emil Kares could be the guy to break that. So seeing Patrick run 208 in New York kind of puts his name in the hat now as well. Like it'll be really interesting to see what he does next, because you would expect on a flatter course 206, 205, would be possible for
Yeah.
someone of his ability, and especially the way how competitive he was in that race. I think the running of quick time is great, but the way he raced the New York Marathon was, I think, the most impressive thing, because he was basically with the front pack until like 36 kilometers.
Yeah.
And he looked really good. It was only when the two guys that ended up breaking away put in some surges that he couldn't quite keep up. But yeah, I mean, for me, it was by far the standout performance of the whole weekend. Obviously,
Yeah.
I'm a Brit myself, but I don't think anyone saw that coming as well as it did.
No, yeah, that was probably my standout performance in the men's race for sure. I was wildly impressed by him, just like the poise and like just the confidence to make that move with those guys and be that
Yeah,
in the conversation to win the race that late in the race. And obviously, like Kipruto and Mutiso, these are guys that are extremely high level guys. It was probably going to be down to those two on paper before
yeah,
the race even started, and they started rolling 4:30 mile pace, super fast pace, once they get to the park. And I mean, Patrick Dever, he held on. I mean, he got fourth place. He only missed out on third by 1 second, which is
yeah,
unbelievable. He was that close to the podium. But yeah, I mean, the guys that got first and second, I mean, these are guys that are, I mean, Kipruto, who won the race, he's won Boston, he's won Chicago, he's won New York, he's won Tokyo. So, I mean, this is like an extremely high level guy. He got bronze at the Olympics. And then Mutiso, he's won London, I believe. So, I
yeah.
mean, yeah, we're talking just
Both
to
the
be with
guys,
those
they're
guys that
both
late in the
like
race.
201, 202 guys, aren't they? So for
Yeah,
Patrick to be up there with them is like, yeah, I don't think even he would have imagined he would be able to hang with him for that long. So
yeah. And that's
full
like the beauty of
full
a
credit to him.
race like New York, Boston, like where there's no pacer. You can have like situations like this where like there's some fun names in there that wouldn't, because a race like Chicago, it's like let's just see who can hang with the pacer like as long as possible, like on pace, or who can hold on to the pace. So usually like splits up kind of quicker. But a race like this, like just the dynamic race setup with no pacer, you got the hills, and then you just have like kind of people that can sneak in there in that top five spot that you wouldn't expect, and that's like why spectating a race like this is like just so much fun. Um, so I'm curious, what do you think of what was your expectation of Eliud Kipchoge going into this race? Were you expecting much out of him?
Yeah, I wasn't too sure really. To be honest, I wasn't expecting him to be competitive for the win. Like I think he showed
Yeah,
that in Sydney. He's clearly moved his focus away from challenging for podiums to just getting out there and inspiring as many people as the as one of the greatest of all time in the marathon distance. So
yeah,
when I saw that he was wearing that white like knitted jumper on the start line, I was like, okay, this guy's he like obviously he's taken it seriously, but if you really wanted to like focus fully on performance, like I don't think you would pick that as the
yeah,
outfit to wear. It was more of a showcase for Nike of look, we've got Eliud Kipchoge in the New York City Marathon, rather than a case of he's going to get out there and compete with the guys which he once was competitive with. So I think, yeah, he it was great to see him in the lead pack for as long as he was. But then, yeah, I think he ran like 2:14 in the end. So on paper, that's not too impressive. But I mean, yeah, I think his days of competing for the win of these big marathon majors are gone. But it was still great to see him as part of the lineup, and it gets a few more eyes on the sport, doesn't it? So I think it was
yeah.
good in the long run.
I mean, I think he's turning 41 this week. And gosh, Bekele's, I think, older than him. He's probably 42, 43. So interesting to see both of them on the start line. I mean, if Kipchoge's on a start line, you got to take him seriously. But yeah, I wasn't expecting a ton either. I thought it was more of just a marketing thing for Nike. And, before the race, he was like, I'm going to make a huge announcement after the race. And I
Yeah,
was like, oh, I want
timing.
Kipchoge to go. I want him to go to the trails. Like, I want him to do some like ultras, like type stuff.
Yeah,
I think he'd be great at that. But
yeah,
he announced
definitely.
what, like the seven continents thing, right? Was that what he announced?
Yeah, yeah, something like 7 marathons in 7 continents or something like that.
Yeah.
Which is cool, but yeah, it could have been cooler, let's say.
Yeah, that didn't like light my fire, Like I
No,
was hoping for something a little cooler. So
yeah,
um, I think
Kipchoge on
like
UTMB or something like that, or a 100 miler or something fun like that would be really cool.
that that's exactly what I thought was I want Kipchoge and UTMB because like mentally he's so strong, and I was like, man, if he just trains for something like this, I feel like he could be like legitimately competitive. And at his age, like the speed doesn't really matter. UTMB is more of a strength thing, or it's pretty much all strength and endurance. So, yeah, I was like, he'd be great at this, and like there'd be so many eyes on that. So yeah, I was hoping for that, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I feel like he's gone for the route that will inspire as many people as he can by doing like a world tour, like a band, I guess, when they're doing their final like farewell tour. This is his final um, thing before he packs it all in. So yeah,
Yeah.
fair play to him.
So to finish the men's race for the win here, Kipruto versus Mutiso, rolling through the park, they're flying, and it's just again like the women's race. It's just so fun seeing two like extremely high level athletes duking it out in Central Park. Like as a viewer, like you do not want someone going in solo into Central Park and just taking the win. Like this is exactly when I'm watching New York City Marathon. This is what I dream of every time: is two people duking it out to the finish line. We got it on both races, but the men's race especially. I was watching the Sidious Mag. They were doing like a watch along,
Yeah.
and Chris Chavez, the owner of Sidious Mag, or the creator, he was like, Capruto's gonna win. He's like 200 meters out, and then here comes Mutiso, like just huge push the last 100 meters,
Yeah, yeah.
and what an exciting finish! It seemed like they both threw their hands up like they won. Did you? What
Yeah.
do you think of that?
Yeah, I don't know what was going on there. It was a bit odd. Like if I was
Yeah,
Matuso, I would have been like absolutely charging for that line and like trying to almost track dip him on the line. Whereas he put his hands up as well, which I think slowed him down a little bit, if anything. So obviously
yeah,
at the end of a race like that, where they've both been pushing their limits for like 2 hours and 8 minutes, your racing brain is not fully switched on anymore. Like if it was a track race, they'd both be like sprinting and dipping over the line. Whereas at the end of a world major, I mean, both of them have won these races. They're probably quite used to, the putting the hands up, the celebration. They've done it by that point. So I think neither of them were expecting it to come down to like literally millimeters. So
yeah.
I think the right guy won it though, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think so too. He's a deserved champion. I mean,
Yeah,
again, both these guys are just so high level. Just to have them two duking it out through Central Park, so cool. And but yeah, I agree. I think I picked Kipruto before the race because he's got a good combination of, he's done well on hilly courses, and he's done well on fast courses. So I think like that's kind of the combo you need in New York. Like you need to be able to get over the hills well during the race, but then when it comes down to it, the last few kilometers, like you need to have that top end speed, get rolling pretty quickly to win the race. So I think like that's the combination you need is like that fast PR overall time, but you also need to be proven on hilly courses. So yeah, deserved champion right there. Uh,
definitely.
I wanted to touch on so the top American was he was in sixth place, Joel Reichow. He's a relative unknown for me. Uh,
Yeah, I don't know a single thing about him, so I was hoping you may know a little bit more. But I was
um,
expecting to see a name like Joe Klecker as a top guy, or even like Charles Hicks, who's now
yeah.
an American. I thought he
So,
would potentially be. Well, he had a great race, but I thought those were the two names that were gonna shoot for the top American. But yeah,
yeah,
this other guy rocks up.
yeah, so he had some like real long hair too, which was funny. But I don't think he's even got like a shoe sponsor. He trains with like Minnesota Distancely, which is
Crazy.
where Dakota Popane trains. Who was one of our American Olympians in the marathon. Just had her on the pod. So I mean, he trains with several good runners up in Minnesota, but this was a huge breakthrough race for him. I think this was a PR. He must have just had an absolute flyer of a day. Um, I mean, a race like New York, like this is where things happen, where it's not as black and white as a race like Chicago, where the fastest guy usually is the one that it ends up being first American. It's always just like, did you run the race smart? Did you pace it well? Did you prepare well on the hills? That kind of stuff. So,
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I love it. I love a relative unknown that I didn't even mention him in my race preview. Like I didn't even touch on him.
No.
I touched on several Americans, didn't even talk about him, and he's top
I just
American.
found his World Athletics page here. 32 years old, so he's perfect age for the marathon now. But
Yeah.
this year, his fastest half marathon was only 64:53 as his season's best, which I mean, on paper is nothing compared to these top guys. So he's basically ran his half marathon pace for a marathon by the look of things. Wonder what his actual PB is for those distances, but yeah,
Yeah,
what a run.
I think I saw on his team's Instagram page that that was their like new team record time. So I think it probably was a PB. But yeah, great run. I'd be super interested to get him on the podcast. I'm sure a bunch of people are asking him. Um, but so a couple of names I wanted to touch on that you mentioned. Charles Hicks. Honestly, I was really surprised he switched his allegiance to the U.S. I thought he'd stay on Team GB because I think uh, the British team for the marathon is probably like not quite as deep as the U.S. team in terms of making teams.
Yeah, I
And
would agree.
I mean, he's a great cross country runner too. So, running Euro cross, stuff like that, which he's done before, I thought he'd be interested in that. But I was told that, monetarily, the way like Nike works and other like US based companies, that he could make more. There's more financial incentive for him to be running for the US, especially if he does well in a race like New York, which he did. So I think that was part of it. He's lived here since he was 12,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I don't know.
I
I was
listened to
surprised.
a post race interview with him, and he said he was born in the UK, obviously, but both his parents are American. So, like, both sides of his family are American. And at a time when he lived in the UK, it was a case of he wanted to like fit in with his friendship group over in the UK. So he wanted to be seen as a British guy. But then, obviously, when he moved back to America 12 years ago, things change. So
Yeah,
decided that he'd make the switch, which I think makes a lot of sense. Um, Especially if your parents are from the US, you now live in the US, you have no intention of going back to the UK.
yeah,
Yeah, it seemed obviously he was born in the UK, but I think ultimately comes down to a personal decision. But sounds like it was the right one for him.
yeah. I mean, and I was really impressed by his debut. I thought he would kind of slot into the 209 to 212 range. I thought that'd be like a solid debut on a course like New York for him. And yeah, he got seventh place. I mean, he's 3 seconds away from top American, 209.59. So snuck under 210. He's got it.
Brilliant.
He's got to be happy with that. I mean, if I'm him, I'm like pretty happy with that result. And I think on a flatter course, he's probably like in 207 or 208 low shape. So he negative split the race too. The men's they went through halfway in 105. So he came back with a 104 and change. So, I mean, on a course like New York, that's a really solid debut in my opinion.
He's born in 2001, 24 years old.
He's young. Yeah.
He is super young. Yeah, that makes me feel old.
Yeah, me too. I'm 29, so uh, I've been thinking about that. Like man, I'm in like my marathon prime right now, so I got to like take advantage of these next few
Exactly.
years.
Yeah,
Are you?
250-mile weeks.
Yeah. I need to get in there, man. Are you? You're not 30 yet, are you?
I'm 28, so similar to
28.
you. Yeah,
Nice, dude. We're in the
we're coming
prime.
into a prime. As soon as we hit 30, that's when we're going to both become like 210 guys. So these top dogs now better watch out.
Yeah, they better
We
watch
haven't even
out.
started yet.
If I make the U.S. trials, like people like me that make the trials, like obviously no chance of actually making the team. It's just cool to be there. Like I'm just happy to be there, right?
Yeah,
But there's like two ways you can like handle the race. One, you like run your own race, pace it smart, try to go for a good time for yourself, like place as high as you can. And then there are other options like just go for it. Just run with the lead pack as long as you can and then explode the back half. And
yeah,
people do both ways, because like you want to get on TV, you want to give yourself in your head a shot to make the team. Obviously, there's no chance, but yeah. So there's two ways to run the trials. So well, I
yeah,
don't want to think that far ahead. Hopefully, I make it, but yeah, it's kind of
definitely.
funny.
I wish you all the best with it. I wish we had something like that in the UK, but
Oh,
unfortunately they don't have that um in the selection policy. But we have it. I feel like there's the half marathon there's going to be like a road running world championship for like,
Yeah,
I think is it 5K half marathon? Is it a mile 5K and a half? I think.
I
And
think so.
they've basically announced that there's a race in the UK. I think it's the Bath Half Marathon that's now going to be used as the British trials for the half marathon spots in the road running world championships, which I think is really cool. So we don't
That's
have it
cool.
for the marathon, but there's a shift maybe in the selection policy to have it for these other races. So yeah, maybe 5-10 years time we'll be looking at a British marathon OTQ thing like you guys have, which I'd certainly be all for. It would be pretty cool to have a time to shoot for like that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, British marathoning is getting pretty deep nowadays, so I think it would be like highly entertaining. I would definitely tune in and watch that race. So I think they should do it. That'd be sweet.
Definitely.
One other person I wanted to talk on is, and I know you mentioned, Joe Klecker. He was on that super high carb plan. I think he said he's doing like 175 an hour, which like
Yeah.
in my head that's overkill. Like I think I usually shoot for 100 because I find that's the point where like I'm not going to bonk, but I'm also not going to cause any GI distress.
Yeah.
And so 175, like I've heard triathletes do that on the bike when in an Ironman, but their stomach's not moving as much on the bike. So I was a little like hesitant about this. It doesn't seem like it. I mean, he finished about where I would have expected him to place. I think he finished 10th.
Yeah.
So 210. I mean,
I feel like he
I
had a
don't know.
good run, but because there was so many exceptional performances, it kind of overshadowed his top 10 finish.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I agree. If he'd have come in the top three, we'd be both sitting here thinking, right, I'm going to try 175 grams
Oh,
of carbs on my long run this week.
100%. 100%.
So yeah, I mean, he fueled the race well. He didn't drop out with GI issues. So on that
Yeah.
side of things, it kind of worked for him. But yeah, it's always
Did,
interesting to see somebody announce something like that. They're doing things a little bit differently.
did you listen to that Coffee Club podcast he was on before the race?
Yeah, yeah.
What was
Crazy
like
his prep.
his goal? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Maybe like what was his prep like, and like did he have any like goals for the race in terms of placement or time or anything?
I don't actually recall him talking about that on the pod. I just remember him saying how much he'd like studied the course, like he'd
Oh,
watched
really?
the course preview like every day. It was part of
Yeah.
his like routine when he woke up in the morning is have his coffee and like he was talking about how he was going to race every single section of the course. Um, and then
Wow.
I think he was very much concentrating on the American side of things as well, in terms of
Yeah.
he was going to base what he did as on like what the Americans were doing. I think that's probably why they ended up like when the two packs broke up. I think there was a little bit of hesitancy from the American guys to
Yeah.
commit to the race because they wanted to race the top American spot. So the race
Yeah.
kind of split into two. Um, so yeah, I would have loved to have seen a camera a little bit further back on that second group because I feel like we only got to see the results. We didn't get to see the race, which would have been quite cool to see unfold. Like I don't know if this Joel guy who ended up coming top American was he the most aggressive, or did he just manage to hang on and outkick
Yeah.
Charles Hicks in the final bit? And was Joe Klecker like the most dominant in the last 5K, but just didn't quite have it in the last, I don't know, 1-2 kilometers? It'd be interesting to see how that panned out.
It was kind of funny. So Hillary Bohr was like pushing the pace early on, and Ababaya Simbasa, the two Americans, and they were kind of with the lead group for the longest of the Americans, but they both ended up back in 12th and 13th. So,
Yeah,
behind Joe Klecker. So I think like, yeah, I think you're right. Like they played a little safer, like made a decision like, okay, that front group's going a little fast. We're going to hang back here and race for a top American spot. And hopefully those two guys come back to us and, pay for racing aggressively. And they did. I like that though. I mean, I don't know. I think the top American guys need to like stop worrying about like being top American and just race for like overall
yeah.
position.
I feel
Cause like
like
we had
Connor
the
has taken that mentality, hasn't he?
exactly.
He's done with like being top American now. He knows he's top dog. Now he wants like podium. So it's pretty cool to see. I feel like Patrick Dever as well. He took that type of mentality into the race where he wasn't interested in being the first like non-African finisher. He was trying to win the thing. So it's always nice to see that switch in mentality, and when it pays off, like, yeah, it's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, we had a Dakota Popan on after Chicago, and she got passed at 30K by the top American woman, Natasha Rogers. And I asked her, like, at that point, going through your head, was it like pretty hard to realize that you probably weren't going to be top American? And she was like, I don't care about top American spot. Like,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
want
I like
to,
that when
I
she
just,
said that. Was pretty cool.
yeah, yeah. So I love that mentality. And I think that's like exactly what Conor Mance is doing. Like you said, that is kind of elevating the sport on his side of things. So, um, but anything else on this men's race? I'm going through the list, seeing if there's anyone else to really pick on. But I think that's everyone I
Yeah,
wanted to touch on.
I think that's pretty much it. Unfortunately, Abdi Nagy didn't have such a great race. I thought he was going to be a contender for the top five at least, because he'd was it last year he won the race, or the year
Won the
before
race,
that?
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he when he won it in New York last year, I was like, wow, that was such a good race to watch, and he played it to perfection. And I've actually seen him out in Kenya a few times and seen how much hard work he puts into his preparation. But I think he had a bit of an injury in the build up or something. Uh,
He
I saw him announce it after the race that him and his management like made the call just to go for it and see what would happen. But he had quite a troubled build. So yeah, it's sad to see him not uh, wasn't able to sort of live up to his number one bib that he had on the start line.
Yeah, I think yeah, that's what they were saying on the broadcast for sure. I don't know if it was an injury or what was going on, but yeah, I think you're a defending champ. There's definitely some more pressure to like, get to the race and just like run it and just give yourself a shot. And I'm sure there's like a pretty good appearance fee too for like the returning champ. So I'm sure that was kind of part of it too, like the financial pressure. But yeah, that's funny. Felix, our friend who was in Kenya with you, he told me he saw Abdi Naji in Kenya and had a couple funny stories about that. But uh, yeah, so that was too bad. I don't even know if he finished the race. He might have DNF. I don't see him in the
Yeah,
point
maybe.
list, so he might have DNF. But yeah,
He's a nice
that's
guy.
everyone I wanted to cover in the men's top 20 kind of. So but dude, Ben, thanks for hopping on the recap part with me, man. I thought we were like 30 minutes. We're almost at an hour. I can't believe that. So
Yeah, I knew this was going to be the case. We could talk about any running topic for at least an hour. So it's been a pleasure. I definitely would love to do it more frequently. So yeah, just hit me up when you need someone to chat with on a bit more of a relaxed schedule than the rest of your fellow co-hosts.
yeah, yeah, yeah. This is this is the perk of doing this full time. They're working right now, and I don't know. This is a dream job set up for me. Just chat running and chat about a race like this. It's just fun stuff. So yeah, man, thanks for hopping on. I'll definitely send you some topics I think you'll be intrigued with. Talking about over the next month, and we can pin another one down for the next few weeks. So yeah, I would love that. I know you're very into pro running too, so I knew you'd be definitely interested to do this. So thanks for hopping
Yeah,
on, man.
definitely. No problem at all.
All right, episode 199, Life and Stride podcast. Ben, do you have any tips on what we should do for episode 200? Do you any ideas on like something goofy, something fun we could do?
Well, you've got to go for something a bit more outlandish, right? You've got to get all of the previous guests on for like a coffee club um,
They did
section
do
where
that, didn't they?
yeah, they managed to get like Josh Kurt. I think it was maybe for their episode 100, or was it 200? I can't remember now, but
They got
they
Jakob
managed
on
to
for a
get
little bit too.
yeah, they pulled all the strings. But I mean, something like that is going to take you a lot of admin. But yeah, I look forward to listening to the 200 episode with whatever you go with.
We have a guest tonight, so he would technically be
Oh, there we
200,
go.
but yeah, but maybe
Tell him
we'll
to
skip
prepare
it.
something.
Yeah, maybe we'll make that one 201 and just do a goofy one for 200. We'll see. So, but
Sounds good.
all right, 199 New York City recap. Thanks for Ben for coming on. We'll catch you on 200. See ya.